Wow, David, so far, how are you enjoying yourself so far here?
Not yet 36 hours, sir.
36 hours on it. But it definitely not your first time here. You come down quite regularly on an annual basis for your family, and your wife is also from Ipoh herself, right?
That's right.
Wow, cool. Okay, actually, I have quite a lot of questions. A lot of people have actually written in here. I just want to also start off by saying that if we are not able to attend to all your questions, we apologize. And some of the questions that you have written are quite long, and so I will have to paraphrase it as accurately as possible. So if you find that your question or anything or intent is not being represented as what you wanted to, so we do apologize, but you can afterwards either talk to us or to David himself to make your points clearer. Is that fine? Okay, so we do have a lot of questions here, so I'll try to arrange it in an order. So the first one that we have, I think we'll start with this one instead. David, what's your most effective daily habit that you have?
The most effective daily habit.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talk about this during the lunch. Is that if you strip off everything from my calendar, there is only 3 things that cannot be taken out. The first one is my daily devotion with our Lord.
Wow.
Every morning, and of course you yourself, some of the people that receive that devotions every day.
Yes,
so that's number 1. Number 2 is my time with my wife. Sunday night is our date night, and not even my partners there to ask if we can have a partners call on Sunday night. It's not going to happen, right? And for some of my other partners too, for that matter, they have their own personal date night. And number 3 is that I pray with my children every day. So even today I'm in KL. This morning I talked to my kids. I pray for them in the morning. I bless them. It's something that we do. So those are the 3 things that will never be able to be taken out.
And I find that all the 3 things that you mentioned was is governing about relationships.
That's right.
The relationships and the people that are most important to you. So any one of you who actually asked about that question, so you have your answer here. The 3 most important things are the 3 relationships that we're trying to protect and to build every day. Wow. The second question that we have here comes from a young working adult. He has 2 jobs. One, he is working as a professional in a corporate. And the second job that he has, he's actually a freelancer. So he's basically started his own business at the same time where he's a professional. So he is asking, would it be better to stay longer as a professional, or is it better that he would just go straight full on into his business? How do you know when it's the right time to go into your business?
That's a good question. So I think first of all, it depends on your financial stability. Can you do your own business for 2 years and not get paid? Can you survive? If the answer is yes, then go ahead and do it. But if the answer is, if I stop working for 1 month, I can pay for my rent the next month, keep your day job. Okay? I think that it is very important to have wisdom in choosing how to do that. But I think that when you think about the freelance work that you are doing, I would suggest that you ask yourself that same question, right? Is this something that you really have the strength to do it? Can you really do it? Now, when you do a freelance, right, when you give it to the church or to your customers or anything like that, will the person actually say that this is a job well done? Or is this going to be something like, oh, it's a freelance job, so I guess for this price, it's okay. So is it okay, or is it really good? If it's really good, then maybe what you need is a good partner that can support you to do that. But the general answer, I think, is that be real with your life. Take one step at a time.
Okay. Yeah. The other question that we received, it's not here, but I also think it's very related to a lot of young graduates and also campus people, is that how would you advise people that are kind of torn? Should I go straight to professional, or should I go straight, jump into my business after I graduate? If you have any advice for people?
Yeah. So again, what type of risk are you willing to take? Everybody have a different appetite for risk, right? So if you are the type of person that really believes in your dreams and you think that this is something that you can do by yourself, then you should give your best shot. I always tell people that entrepreneurial is a good experience for anybody. So it doesn't matter if you're a professional, whether you're a college graduate, you're a PhD student, or you're a housewife. I'll say that why not give it a try? Give it a try, and at least if it doesn't work, the next time somebody tells you to start your own business, you can actually say that, I've tried it before, it doesn't work for me, and I know the 3 reasons why I'm not doing it. And that way, then you always have this firm foundation of why you do what you do. But I think that it depends also on, for example, some of you heard my story and, oh, David is doing private equity, and you're a college graduate, and you say that, okay, I'm going to be a private equity guy tomorrow, right? So the answer is that, first of all, you have to have the ability to fundraise, right? So my question is that, do you have that ability? Some of the businesses that you want to be in, it requires you to have a certain level of experience, a certain level of network, and even skill in a certain level of ways, to be able to do that. So there are some things that you can do directly. For example, if you're an artist, you're a jewelry designer, and you want to open a small little shop in a mall, or you want to supply it to a company and things like that, that can be done directly. Right? But there's just certain businesses that I think it is wise for you to be professional first before you actually start your own business. Yeah.
Then the other one that the other question that they have is that if, for example, that we are given 2 or 3 business ideas at the same time, and it's not like it's obvious which is better. It's almost like all of them are equally as good. How do we assess? How do we go about analyzing and knowing which ideas? Because sometimes, especially when you just come out professionals, or you just come out from your own business, you are being thrown with a lot of ideas. How do you go about knowing which idea is the best that is suited for you?
Well, first of all, I say congratulations, right? Not everybody have like 2, 3 business opportunities at the same time. So, if you have that, that's good. Now, somebody asked me these questions earlier today, I think, and this is, I think, I want to explain. So everything that you read in the Bible, right, there is a element of truth that you cannot negotiate with, right? So that God created the heaven and the earth, that is not open for negotiation. That is just simply the truth. That there is no way to heaven except through Christ. That is the truth, right? So if the business or the opportunity is contradicting the truth, then don't take it. There's an easy filter, okay? But outside the truth, there is the interpretation of the Bible. And I think during the lunch just now with the business community, we have that one case where the interpretation of the Bible, it depends on your maturity, it depends on how God is speaking to you individually, and all those type of things. But outside the realm of how you interpret the Bible, it has the realm of your personal preference. And we all have personal preference. I have a personal preference of never wearing a tie. That doesn't make me more business or less business. It is simply my personal preference, right? I'm still a businessman. It's just my personal family is not using it. And so those type of things, I think, like, I want to be, in my opinion, if it's amoral, it has nothing to do whether it's good or bad. It's just all the same good opportunity. Pick one. Make a decision and pick one. There is no other way for me to explain that. It's not a life and death choice. It is not choosing a spouse. It's a career. You go there, you do it for 3 months, and after 3 months, you figure out that I love this job. Then keep on doing it and build your career there. Or after 6 months, you find out that, man, this job is so not me. I don't want to do it another day. Find a different job. So it's for me, I hope I'm not being too straightforward, but for me, it's like just make a decision. It's not just, yeah. You don't need to pray for that. You don't need to fast for that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And the next one is that if a person is handling more than one businesses as a few, what would your advice be? To focus, or is it possible to juggle multiple businesses at the same time?
That's a very good question. I think it depends on your capacity. Power, if you study physics, power is force over area, right? So if you got 10 businesses, but the force that you have is only 10. So 10 over 10, you get a power of 1. So it's better for you to do less business, use more forces that you only have, and make that business a real success. For me, that's the principle of it. But for some people in this room, perhaps the person that's asking the question, your force is not 10, your force is 10,000. And so for some people, it is usual for them to hold 3-4 responsibilities. They have multiple businesses, but they can still make sure that everything is performing well, right? So I think it depends on your capacity. You need to ask yourself a very good question and ask, like, is it a better use of my time to do one thing and be really good at it, or do 2 or 3 different businesses and just be okay about it? And of course, if you can answer it honestly and say, like, I do 2-3 different things, but then it is going to be, all just below average, the answer is absolutely you need to focus. Yeah.
Then I'll just proceed also. What are some of the telltale signs that you see in your life when you know that you are losing control of your businesses and you just can't managing it? What are some of the signs that you can tell for people?
That's a very, very good question. Normally, when it comes to your daily devotional time, that is all about spiritual discipline. That has nothing to do with 1 business or 2 business. Okay? But when you start to say that I no longer can spend time with my wife, I no longer can spend time with my family, kids got soccer field day, and you say, soccer field day, I'll go next year, right? That is a very good sign to say that you are a little bit overloaded. Right? So we of course there will always going to be an exclusion why you can't make it, and your family understands that, but I think that is a good place to do that. And then again, number 3 is that when you look at the performance of your company, then ask yourself, why is the company not growing the way it's supposed to grow? If the answer is as simple as we need more sales guy, maybe that's the right answer. But if the answer is because all these deals are waiting for me to make the decision and I'm not available there to actually run the company, that is obviously a great sign for you to know that you are overloaded. Yeah.
And I think also when you know that sometimes overload is not about you doing more, but it's also about creating a system and also as a model that can allow for you to expand more as well. Because we realize that some businesses, you start off with a system that works for you, but when you scale up, when you have commitments, when you have bigger decision making as well, you need to evolve and adapt as well. But in what we do, we try not to, we will never compromise what we value most, which is God, our family, our church as well.
Absolutely.
Wow. Then this one is a really candid question. I really like this one. You say, is it wrong to buy a better car? Who wants a better car here? Is it wrong to have a bigger house or go for holidays with the family when God has given us wealth? Please comment. Thank you. I like that.
Must be a very dominant guy writing that.
No, he had a whole big page here written there. I don't know he or she, but I like that. It's very nice.
Hey, look, if I ask you like, hey, you're flying to Jakarta, can you take first class or economy class? A normal person should say that I like to take first class. If you say that I like to take the worst airplane that have 80% probability of tanking down, you are weird, okay? You are just simply weird. So it is in our nature. Think about this, guy. When God made us in His own image and likeness, right? He wants the best out of you. He created us the best that He believes that we can be. And so it is our nature to always want the best, right? But then it becomes shaky ground when having the right car is the principal goal of why I'm doing a business, why I'm working. Okay? So I don't have a problem. When I first, 5 years ago, when I moved back to Indonesia, we have simple cars. We don't have a driver. We drive by ourselves. My wife drove by herself. I drove by myself. Today, the place where I am, I'm out generally about like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm back at 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. And so I have back-to-back meetings. My general schedules is like a 45 minutes meeting back-to-backs for the whole day. So when you get stuck in Jakarta every day for 1.5 hours each way, having a driver is a need. It is not something that I want to have. It is a need. Being a private equity people, if I go to your company and I say that I'm a private equity guy and I'm driving this I don't know, 1980 Corollas or something like that, like you're gonna be thinking like, this guy really gonna invest his money in my company? Like so I think the answer to that is that, do you need it? Do you need it? At the stage of my life right now, I can buy a better car than what I have today. I can have a bigger house than we are living today right now, but we don't need it. And because we don't need it, we don't buy it. So family vacation, if there's one of those things in that list that I will encourage you to do, is that give your family a good vacation. Yeah. Especially if you're a busy man like myself, give your family a good vacation. That is so important. Next month in November, not next month, 2 months from now in November, we're going to New York for 2 weeks, just me and my wife, to celebrate her birthday. Make your wife happy.
And all the ladies and the wives say, Amen. Hallelujah.
There cannot be anything more spiritual than that.
Wise words.
Wife number one. And the kids got left at home. Rachel, my 8-year-old, said like, but Papa, you're going to New York? I said like, talk to my hand. We brought you to Disneyland last summer. This is Daddy, Mommy's time. So look, if there's one thing that I will do, I'll always spend more money on my family. No, we want to be careful, again, be wise in everything that we have to do. Do you need it? But, there is something, when you bring your wife, you bring them to stay in a good, nice hotel, in a good vacation, and there's a bonding happening between husband and wife. That is the greatest thing that you can have. Telling her that you really matters. I think that's the best thing to do. But the short answer to that is that understand what you need and what you wish you can have. That is two very different things. Okay?
Yeah, I think this question also comes from people who also sometimes struggle with a bit of conscience, oh, can I eat the fruits that comes out through the Lord, through my hand? And I remember in Jeremiah chapter 29, it says that, give the first fruits to the Lord, but also enjoy the fruits from the labor of your hand. So it's not wrong, but it's important when to understand sometimes our want becomes our need, as you mentioned there.
That's right.
Wow, that's really, really good. The next question that we have here, I think it comes from a family or a parent. It says here, David, you now have 3 kids, but would you still take the same kind of business risk after having kids? This person is probably assuming that maybe a business person would be more risk-taking before they have more kids. And maybe after kids, they realize that maybe their risk appetite is reduced. So that question asking you right now, after having 3 kids, would you still be having that risk approach for that?
That's a very good question, isn't it? My inclination is to say this. You are either a risk taker or you're a risk averse person. There's nothing going to ever take you away from doing what you're good at. Risk is a good word. And risk is something that you can manage. When I was much younger, I was a single guy, I was 19, 20 years old. I joke about this last night, but I meant it. Like my mentality was, what could be the worst that can come out from this? The worst is I'll go to jail for 3 years. I come out, I'm 22 years old. I'm still young and fabulous. Yeah? But today I'm 35. I'm married. I got 3 kids. Right? I cannot take the same risk per se as the question goes, because first of all, you go to jail for 3 years. I'm 38. I'm not that young and fabulous. Youthful, but not that young. But I think that I am still somebody that take risks. You just have to manage it well. Being a father of 3 kids, it simply means that I have an 8-year-old girl right now that about 9 years from now will be going to college. Right? And so if I have prepared everything that I need for my daughter to get where she needs to be, for my 2 sons to be, for my family, for my wife, then by all means take the risk. Because there is a responsibility. The moment you get into a marriage, I have an extra hat that I'm wearing. That David is now also a husband to Julia Tan. When Rachel was born, I have another extra hat now to wear. I'm a father to Rachel. Then when Daniel and Joseph are born, I'm additional again, I'm also father to my two other sons. And so with the responsibility that God is trusting in our life, then we will have to be a good steward for what God is trusting in our life first. And there is nothing more important than your family. So manage that first, and after that is done, you go and do it. I like your analogy from Jeremiah, because when the Israelites was sent to the promised land, they said that it is a land filled with milk and honey, right? And so, if you have a glass of milk right now on this table and we leave it here for 3 weeks, what's going to happen? You can't drink it anymore, right? But if you have honey, you leave it for 3 weeks, what's going to happen? You can still use it. And the Bible also says this. It said that, a drop of honey is sweet, but if you drink the whole thing, it's going to make you sick, right? And so I think you got to be very wise. As you grow and you have new responsibilities, new roles that God is trusting you with, we need to understand which one is my milk, which one is my money. There are risks that you simply got to take right now. It is the season for you to take it. And if you do not use the capital, you don't use the network that you have right now because it's milk, and you want to do it 3 years from now, when you want to use it, it's no longer useful. But there are certain things that we need to be very strategic in looking at it and say that, okay, this is not for now. This needs to be for 3 years from now. So the balance for that, again, is very important. For every case, it's going to be different. But I hope the principle, the thoughts behind it help you to, choose that risk. Yeah.
This next question, I think it's quite appropriate because of our context being in Southeast Asia. It relates about how do you do business with people who are of a different faith? As you know, in Malaysia and Indonesia, we are considered the minority. Okay, so how do we go about? What is your mindset when you actually deal with them? Since that there are some things that we do share differently with them, especially with businesses and partners and stuff.
The short answer to that, I believe, is focus on what you have in the similarity. Focus on that, not focus on the differences that we have. For example, if I meet Pak Haji and then I say Assalamualaikum, it doesn't make me less holy by saying Assalamualaikum, and the other guy immediately accept us, and say, you understand my culture. If I go walk inside their house, we respect their culture. Culture is not always bad. Culture is not always bad. Recently, our president give a special honor to a couple of businessmen that have built our country. So to understand this, to understand the significance of this, is that in our country, to become a national hero, he says that it's almost like you have to have a Purple Heart standard in America, which means that you got to have a bullet shot on you, you'll be bleeding, you're in a war zone, then we give you a national hero title. Right, so a businessman in Indonesia, especially from the minority, as you would imagine, they've never even joined the army, right? And so the president take the time to give a special recognition to some of these people. Now, the two gentlemen that I know personally, they got the rewards, and they are from the minority, and they are Christians, both of them. So they went to that event and they wear the peci, Is it called peci in Malaysia? The kopia, was it? Yeah. So they wear that thing, and they bring controversy within the Christian faith camp and says that, that is like not Christian. But what is wrong with wearing that hat? That hat doesn't show the spirituality of the person. Sometimes there are things that we are overly spiritual. We don't do this, we don't do that, If you have parents or you still have family, they are still Buddhist, Konghucu in our context, And then we go to the graveyards and respect them. I think that is okay. We are there to respect people that are before us. These are our ancestors, our grandparents. I think that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. So I think my answer is to focus on what we have in the similarity. If you can, and if you are strong enough, I would say focus on the faith. The more somebody is driven by their faith, is always a good thing. Now, if they come from a different religion from us, let's say a Buddhist, and you bring this in the context of a Muslim on your own context, you go with a Buddhist, and what they do is like they burn the hyo, right? And then they burn the house made of paper and the money and all those sort of things. I got friends like that. I remind them. I say, this is the day for you to do it. Why are you not doing it? Because if you understand your Bible, the more they do it, the more they will realize that God is not there. Rather than keep on pulling them out from their belief and their traditions and keep on telling them the 7 reasons why you need to come to my church, I tell them, keep on going to your mosque, keep on going to your temple. Because the more you do it, the more you realize, like, well, David is different. We've been doing this like 17,000 times. What's wrong with us? And the more we drive ourselves by our faith, and the more we allow people to believe in their faith, I believe it is only time for people to understand that the God is not there. And then you will ask the simple questions. Why are you so joyful? Why are you so full of energy? And that's when we can preach the gospel to them. So again, 1 Peter 3:11 basically again tell us that be prepared to give an answer for the hope that you have in Christ when people ask you. They don't ask, live your life as a believer. No problem. Yeah.
Following that, I just want to ask you personally, what do you think is the number one factor that Christians find it hard to share the gospel in their professional or in their business? What do you think is based on your experience, what is the main reason that they give for maybe when they are struggling to share the gospel?
I think many times, I think number one is that we are afraid to share our gospel in a simple that we will not pray before we eat our meal. You sit together with a bunch of people that is not in the same faith with you, and you suddenly stop praying. You think that I'm going to offend everybody if I pray. Let me tell you a story. When I first came to America to study, all my friends, Americans, white Americans, and they're supposed to be believers, but then like they don't pray before they eat and all those sort of things. So here we comes. Every single time I sit on the table, doesn't matter if they start eating, they don't start eating, I start to pray. After I pray for like 5 seconds, then I eat. I do it every day. Every day. Somewhere along the line, I don't know when I pray, everybody close their eyes and they pray too. I'm serious, And then another thing is that we're from Asia, so we understand this better. So I see a lot of people that waste food like tremendously in my campus, right? So they take like a tray full of food. They take 2 bites and then they go to the pantry and then get more food because I don't like it. So whether I like it or I don't like it, I take 1 plate and I finish it. After 1 semester, again the same thing. Every time they do not finish the food, they look at me and then they have to make reasons initially. It's like, the food is a bit salty, and they make a reason. So you see, the influence in the marketplace actually comes in a very simple form. Just be who you are. Just be who you are. So if you continue to be who you are, and then people just will respect you for your faith. When we have the experience of selling jewelry on the streets of New York, you see these people from Africa, and they are Muslim. At 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, they bring out the mat, and they start to worship God on the side of the street. I saw that, and I go like, okay, that's what you want to state? I can do it too. So every morning we come. We haven't set up the booth. We come and we pray every single day. And guess what? When we are not around, our managers also pray for them. And people around us also start to pray with us. So that, so small, simple stuff. I don't think it's a hurdles. It is more about sometimes we need to take a small step of faith. But again, do it in a loving and relevant ways. Don't do it in a way of like judging other people. You know what I'm saying? You know, so especially if you know that is the brother that also go to the same church with me. Look at that. He's not praying. Then you go there. Dear Lord Jesus. I mean, you don't have to do that. Don't judge people. Do it in a loving and relevant ways, right? And do it because you believe it. Do it because you believe that that is how you can be relevant in the marketplace. And just do it. And I believe if you do that, then it will continue to transfer to other people. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think what we've identified is that a lot of people, when we actually people that work in the marketplace, because you're surrounded with a lot of influencers and people as well. So we have to be bold and courageous, and more importantly, not be ashamed of the gospel, because it's a power unto salvation that God has given to us as well. And so I like the example that you gave, when you pray, because I've noticed that sometimes I myself, you forget it, but we realize that it's not just about the religiosity, but it's about you really believing and living it out. And then more importantly, when you believe in it and people actually believe in it, and it spreads and influences them as well. Wow. Cool. The next question that we have here is that if I have a great business idea, but I have no capital, how do you go about it? What are some of the things that I can do to go about getting the funding that I need for my idea?
Again, the answer to that is that depends on how much you need. What business are you in, right? I mean, you're going to build a chemistry lab. Obviously, you're going to need a lot of money, But if I make the right assumption and the idea that you have, let's say like us, so let me just tell you a story. So when we do our jewelry, we were college students, right? And so we don't have money. We literally don't have money. Julia's cousin is here today with us. I mean, like, Julia come from a middle-class company. My father-in-law works for an oil and gas company, but at the age of before she turns 50, she has to retire because of the back problems. And my mother-in-law is a teacher, so they are middle class. So they have 2 daughters, and my father-in-law used all their savings to send the first child to Canada to study. So when Julia graduated from high school, parents got no money left. So Julia was sent to Kuala Lumpur to study interior design for 2 years. And then 2 years later, the sister graduated from college, get a full-time job. And so Evelyn, my sister-in-law, sent the whole salary, the whole full amount of salary to New York so that Julia can study at Parsons School of Design. But that salary is only enough to pay for the tuition. Okay? And then the sister in Canada, how does he pay for the rent? How does he pay for the food and all those other things? She teaches piano. She got 2 jobs. Okay? So now Julia also only have the money to pay only for the tuition. But she's an artist. She needs paper, the paint, and all those type of materials. And then again, housing, food, and all those type of things. So Julia worked 3 different jobs. So that is the conditions when Julia and I both met together in New York. I have $40,000 to pay for my first year of school tuition. Got nothing extra. So what do? That's the question, right? We go work. We get our hands dirty. I send newspaper for 3 months to earn money to finance our own living, and then get a little bit more extra money, and then pay to finance the business. Now, of course, some of your businesses might require, it is a business that requires you to put, a couple $1 million. And if you work and get, $1,000, $2,000 a month, it is going to be forever before you get that type of money. But so I think the answer to that is that it depends. It depends, but very often, as I said again, too many people are just not willing to get their hands dirty. It's just big dreams, big hopes, but you're thinking that somehow in some way that God is going to drop $1 million on your bedside tomorrow morning. But that is not the reality.